What's up, everybody? Oh man, it's awesome in Florida, and great, beautiful day. My wife spent most of the day at the beach, going ahead and doing some snorkeling. Unfortunately, stuck here at the grind, trying to get some stuff done. So she was away, allowed me to do some videos, do some work, do some editing. It was just a very fruitful day. How's your day going? Well, probably better than Ron DeSantis' day. He's getting dragged on Twitter all over again. A lot of people don't seem to understand why a 60-day, what do you call it, extension of a state of emergency is basically a legal play to continue being under federal auspices and being able to get federal money. But everybody on Twitter is screaming and going nuts because we're all going to die here in Florida, in case you haven't been told. The end is nigh. We're about to cash in here. At least that's what they're saying all over television and all over Twitter. It's a center of the epidemic. And meanwhile, people down here are like, news to me. Like I said, my wife is out snorkeling on the beach today. Other people out there as well. So, quickly, as we do here each and every weekday, I'm going to quickly jump into the information regarding what's going on with COVID. So if you do get nothing else from this show, if there's nothing else I can offer you, at least I can offer you the true information from the state of Florida. And as I always say, if you're a conspiracy theorist and don't want to hear this stuff, just go ahead and hit delete and just move on. We don't have time for that. We're going to show the real data here. So without further ado, let's go to the numbers. Here we are on the board that shows how many cases specifically are in Florida right now. This is updated every morning at 11 a.m. I watch it like a hawk to make sure that I am indeed getting the right numbers to be able to tell everybody. And I love how now they've blown it up so you can have everything on one screen and basically own a conspiracist. Is that a word? Whatever. The people are going nutty. So anyway, these are all the different people who have had the disease. And this is the daily chart. I'm going to have to move my head. And as you can see, as we say all the time, the chart goes up and up and up. 11,000 on the third, almost 10,000 on the fourth, 6,300 on the fifth, 7,300, and on and on and on. It just doesn't change. It's still going up, but we did have a decent drop from the peak of 11,000 on the third. But this is the chart everybody talks about. This is the chart that everybody screams about. But what they don't show you is what's on the next page. And on the next page, this is the death chart. Now, I'm not going to keep giving asterisk as to, of course, it's unfortunate. Let's just talk about data. Can we just move on, be adults here, and just talk about it? So, in any event, you don't have to be a brain surgeon to see this. Here is that peak where we had 51 people die. We had 51 people die in the entire state of 21 million people. 51 people died in a state of 21 million. Just understand that when you see all the paranoia and people freaking out about kids going back to school and everything else, at this point, we have to believe that this is all political. That this is 100% political. More people get killed in car accidents than have died from this thing. It's just not doing what they had hoped it would do. So now they're drumming up the hysteria even more. And as you can see, that was a peak. It has decidedly dropped off from a massive high of, 51 people dying in one day. But I digress. Let's go here. And we can see yesterday, this is updated, 7 people met their maker. Yes, it's still unfortunate, but 7 people. The day before that, we can look at and see it was 17. The day before that, it was 19. The day before that, it was 21. You add up all 4 of these days together, you're barely close to what was the high back on June 23rd. And again, I understand everybody keeps saying, wait 2 weeks, wait 2 weeks, wait 2-3 weeks. It's going to happen. People are going to just start dying. We're at Vegas and we're betting, we're rolling that dice, waiting for Florida's people to all start dying in the street. And it ain't happening. This is, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. And, we're looking at this chart. All these people back here should all be dead by now. What's happening here? It's not working. There's just not happening. People aren't dying. Are we being lied to? I'll let you figure that out. But all I can say is let's just look at actual data. And nobody wants to show you that. Nobody wants to show you the actual data. And then the people who do want to complain and say that it's fudged and it's not true and people are dying down here. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I can't make it up. I know when I go out and I go to the stores and I go to the restaurants and people are smiling and happy and living their life down here, I don't know what to tell you. It's a great day here in South Florida. And so if you ever click on 5:30 and I'm not sitting here, maybe I was wrong. Maybe the COVID came through and like a thief in the night and just took me away. But as of right now, as you can see, nobody, and I say nobody, I'm being a mathematical statistical analysis here, that 7 people out of a state of 21 million is indeed nobody. Unfortunate for the family and loved ones of those 7 people, but that's not worth shutting down an economy, except if that's what the actual objective is. So let me segue into what I'm going to be going over today. As a black guy, I get a lot of flack from people and who come to me and say, why aren't you doing more to help black people? To which I say, what in the hell are you talking about? I'm not a social worker. If you want to learn what I do, I'm more than welcome to help you. I know a lot of people will help you. You got to take the initiative. You have to learn that equity is not the same as equality. Equality does not equal equity. You're fighting and you're protesting over the wrong thing. Instead of protesting, you should be investing. That's the reason why people kind of look at you with the side eye going, oh, these idiots are out in the street again. They're spending a lot of energy and time and somebody's money burning stuff down, breaking stuff, shooting people, but they're not doing anything to help build their equity. And if you're demanding equality, you already are admitting you don't have equality. Pretty simple concept. If we're all equal, I don't have to fight to be equal. It's already deemed to me. I know a lot of people think of the whole white supremacy thing. I'm sorry, that's another excuse. Tell me another. Tell me how somebody is keeping you from moving into a better life. How are they keeping you from creating equity? I kind of laughed today. I saw Colin Kaepernick, who is the symbol of oppression, just signed a huge deal with Disney. I don't know what to say. I saw that, who was it? Michael Jordan agreed to give $100 million to Black Lives Matter. $100 million. Equity. Money. You see, the people with money are the ones who are driving this. And you morons with the sticks out front and bashing in stuff are basically pawns for people like me to make more money, because somebody has to go fix up those neighborhoods. In the midst of this corona lockdown, people are going to be evicted en masse in probably the next 4 to 6 weeks here. They're going to need someplace to live. Who does that benefit? Think about that for a second. When those people get evicted, who's going to benefit from that? Yeah. We're gonna have our choice of the litter, and I don't mean that in a bad way. What the heck was that? But we're going to be able to pull together the tenant pool that we want to deal with. The whole thing about, and it was a great idea and it sounded good about 40 acres and a mule. The only way you're getting 40 acres and a mule is right today is if you go ahead and buy them. Nobody is giving you 40 acres and a mule. So that's all the bad news. You're protesting instead of investing. You're dreaming about 40 acres and a mule, and you're never going to see it happen. I don't care who is president. I don't care what laws, what they enact. You are not going to get 40 acres and a mule. Not that you do much with a mule now anyway, because the reason why they were going to give you a mule was to till the land so you could grow stuff, but you don't even know how to do that. So 40 acres and a pit bull? I don't know. Does that work for you? Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. But why not, instead of protesting, you learn more about investing? So I'm going to spend about 20 minutes here showing you a few things and give you an idea what you can do. I told you for this next week or so I was going to focus on that. And I'm going to play something I played yesterday. And it's 2 clips back to back. And we're going to talk about them. So the first one we're going to talk about is this one here from the Oracle of Omaha.
If I had a way of buying a couple 100,000 single-family homes, I would load up on them, and I would take mortgages out at very, very low rates.
You understand what he said? If he, who is worth gazillions, who E.F. Hutton was modeled after, is talking about what you can do by buying single-family homes, would that not be smart? Here's the second part of that clip.
If I was an investor that was a handy type, which I'm not, and I could buy a couple of them at distressed prices and find renters, I think that's, and again, take a 30-year mortgage. It's a leveraged way of owning a very cheap asset now.
That's all you need to know. You can walk away from this half hour, forget the corona stuff, and just say, okay, so I need to buy single-family homes, but I don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. I love that saying. My mom used to say that about me all the time. Yeah, you do. If you know what I'm going to give you, put an asterisk. This is a statement you can tape on your wall, and just remember, if the deal is good, the money will be there. Just remember that. If the deal is good, the money will be there. There's no shortage of people who will look to give you money to close a deal if the deal makes sense. What you have to learn is how to package the deal, how to put it together. And I love it that there are a lot of people in the minority communities who are learning how to package these deals. And they're learning that, hey, wow, I've got this deal. It makes sense. Can I get money for it? And you'll have people gladly give you the money, and they're going to make a return, and you're going to make a return. If you know the deal, if you put the deal together and it makes sense, then it's going to work. The key is knowing how to package the deal, knowing how to do the numbers, knowing how to sieve and look through many, many properties to understand where the deal is. How do you put it together? There's a house for sale and they want X dollars, but my lender, my hard money lender, my investor says I need to be at this position and I don't know how to get there. That's the question you ask. You imagine if people in the street at these protests ask those kind of questions? Hey, listen. Hey, Mr. White Supremacist, here's my problem. I've got this property that I can buy. I think it's a winner. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in Pembroke Pines, Florida. I can buy it for $250,000. I think it's worth, if I fix it up, close to $400,000. I don't know how to structure this deal. Can you show me how to do it? Do you think there might be people who might react differently to you and say, hey, come on, I know somebody. If I can't do it, maybe somebody else can. Maybe this deal's not right for you. Let's look around and see if we can't find a deal that makes sense for you. You think that might be better than trying to force people to do things? Yeah, I know for a fact it is. I mean, there's been times where I've had the ability to write a check at a courthouse for $300,000-$400,000 that somebody gave me blank checks and said, if you see a deal and you think it's good, go for it. That's the kind of trust and credibility you build up with people. Right now, I don't know if you see online, but I am doing this so that I continue to build my credibility, my authority, my knowledge, interact with people. Just for instance, last night, I cross-posted a video on LinkedIn. I woke up this morning and a guy who does some investing in the Midwest asked to speak to me. I'm like, okay, I saw one of your videos. You make sense. Let's talk. Come to find out the guy's a billionaire. So I'm spending 30, 40 minutes a day making these videos, and it's giving me access to billionaires. You see, I'm not looking for people who are rich. There are people who are rich all over Boca Raton. I'm looking for people who are wealthy. I'm looking for someone who can say, listen, I want to drop $2 million in the opportunity zone up in Delray Beach. Let's see what we can put together. I'm going to fly in on my jet. We're going to have dinner. We're going to go the next day out there to the opportunity zone. We're going to walk it. And I'm going to tell you what I need to work with you. Make sense? Yeah, friggin' A, it makes sense. I'll meet you. Tell me where I need to meet you. What are you looking for? Well, right now, the banks aren't giving me the kind of rates. Stock market's kind of volatile. I'm looking for anything between a 9 and 11% annual return. Can you find something that'll provide that? Yeah, with some safety? Sure. Now I know what you want. I go find it. My job's go find it. Go put the deal together. Go find what he wants. If he wants a 2-year investment at 9 to 11% return annually, I need to go find that deal. If he doesn't want to be in the deal unless he's secured at no more than a 70% LTV, learn what that means, then I need to go find that deal that makes sense. And if I'm short, I need to go find some other people who want to come in a deal with me. I need to roll up my sleeves. I need to get to work. And it's not breaking windows. It's not burning police cars. It's not whining and crying and saying the white man has hurt me. Oh my God, what do I do? No, it's get off your ass, make something happen. Every single one of these people who have protested over the last 3 or 4 months will never see 40 acres and a mule. It's not going to be handed to you. You're not going to see these crazy ideas of reparations. And even if you've got the reparation, what are you going to do with the money? I bet you wouldn't even know what to do with it. But I know some people who do know. I can help you with that. So I want to show you a couple things. And this one is scary. I saw it today. This guy he's a senator, state senator up in New York. And he wants to stop evictions for a year after COVID-19 ends. What? We don't even know how do you define when it ends? What's going to be the trigger to say, hey, listen, COVID-19 has ended, and now for the next 12 months, people still can't have evictions or foreclosures. What's a landlord supposed to do? Why is this important? Because the idea of putting a deal together is to make sure that you are never in that position. Right now, owning property is completely different. Before, you could go ahead and buy a house or a duplex or some apartment units or whatever, and you could put a renter into them, and things would go well. Now, what happens if that renter doesn't pay? Well, in New York, they're trying to make it permanently no evictions. I think they did the same thing in Los Angeles. Permanently no evictions. What happens to your investment? What happens with your relationship with the people who gave you the money to buy that house? It goes out the window. This is the stupidest play I have ever seen, and this ensures continued black enslavement. This is making excuses. That does nothing. And notice in his quote here, and I'm going to say it again, he says it's a measure against racism and inequality. Again, he doesn't mention equity. This whole misguided concept of inequality, that we're not equal. We are equal. I can sit right next to somebody on a bus. I could sit right next to somebody on a plane, and I'm as equal to that person as sitting next to a person on a Learjet. The difference is the person on the Learjet had the equity to buy that Learjet. The person on a bus could barely afford bus fare. You're never going to progress if your fight is for equality. You're going to progress and be in a different stature when you learn how to build equity. Major difference. So how do you build equity? Well, I love what I saw today with this soccer star, and he and his business partner want to create 100,000 black millionaires through real estate investing. Now, the only problem I have is, why black? Why exclude anybody? How about we learn how to teach people everywhere to be millionaires? Why does it have to stop with black women and black men? I understand right now it sounds cool, but it also sounds kind of cruel, doesn't it? Again, I'm not unequal, but you are creating inequality. You're saying, I want to go ahead and help these 100,000 black women and men become millionaires, and I could give two craps about the white. You're creating inequality. How about just helping people build equity? That's what it's all about. And as a smaller investor, you can start today. I've been looking around, and I've been trying to find these different groups out here. And one of the groups that I found is this group here, which is Buy the Block. Now, if you remember Rick Ross' song from years ago, Buy Back the Block, I was going to play it, but it's kind of nasty, so I can't really play it. A lot of profanity in it. But when you're looking here, these are all different deals. It's like a crowdfunding site for black business people and people trying to raise money. And look, you can see what they're doing here. Some of these things, like this one is 39% funded. This one is 10% funded. This one is 1,000% funded. They tried to reach 10 grand and they raised $108,000. That's pretty awesome. See if I can blow that up so you can see it. That's my dog out in the yard making noise. But look, yeah, this guy wanted to put together a mental health gym, whatever that is. His goal was to make 10 grand or build 10 grand of investment. He got 107,000 people who agreed to invest with him. This one, his goal was 107. He's at 15, but he's got 24 days to raise this money. This one, I'm actually going to click on this one because this is what you need to see. This guy wants to, quote, buy the block. He wants to invest in 18 rentals with long-term tenants, mostly seniors, a restaurant, an empty space that will be a coffee shop, and a new construction office in the 5th Ward of Houston. His name is Chris Senegal. He created a LLC, probably for that property. His minimum goal was $107,000. His maximum goal was $535,000. He raised $873,000. That's some smack. And he had 1,300 investors that helped work with him to raise that. So let me go to my trusty calculator here and see if I can't pull up what that comes out to. And here, you guys can play along. $873,000 divided by 1,327 individual investors, and $700. He got 1,300 people to give him $700, and he funded his deal. Don't tell me if the deal doesn't make sense that you can't find the money. You most assuredly can. And I don't have time to go through this whole thing, but I'd like you guys, if you wanted to read about it, he talks about what he's going to be doing. And I'm sure down here he's got some sort of rent roll. He's got pictures, great layout, absolutely stunning layout, how he put this together. He's got his projections. I'm sure he's got a performer he can send you. All kinds of different things. He's got conceptual improvements. He put together a deal. Here are the numbers. All right. So the offer is, He's trying to raise up to $1 million, blah, 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 allowed by SEC regulations. And he's selling shares based upon a $7 million valuation. And he even posts his SEC filings right there for you to see. That's much better than protesting. Investing is trumps, and no pun intended, protesting. Investing is better than protesting. Proof right there. Young black man who put this together, who put this entire deal together. Who knows what kind of legal help or investment help he has. He's got a video here, real estate developer. So I know what he's talking about. I know what this guy is, where he is with this. He is a young real estate developer, black guy, and just like myself, we're out here trying to hustle, make some money, do good for the community. Instead of protesting, we're investing. Instead of trying to fight and demand equality, we're building equity. That's the difference. Nobody wants to tell these young black kids, build equity. Look at this guy. I mean, this is someone that he should be looking up. They should be looking up to. But you never hear that side of the story. You never hear these kind of things when people are looking to take the next step up the financial ladder. All you hear on television is the whining, the crying, we can't do it, it's white supremacists, and we're kept down, and, blah, 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 blah. Do you think that might be on purpose? Do you think that may be the objective, is to make you think that you can't succeed, that you're being held back, that the man's got you handcuffed, you can't win? Can I tell you right now that's complete bullshit? I mean, don't believe me? Go ahead and go over to this page right here and talk to Chris Senegal and ask him what he thinks about it. I'm sure he'll talk to you. I'm sure the young man from Houston will tell you about this deal and other deals he's working. So, and even on his page, he's like, hey, here's another video. Explains how this whole works. Why not watch that video and find out how to do this? So another thing is, people say to me, how do I get money? Well, you have to learn how to cultivate money. You have to learn to understand what investors are looking for. You have to understand that investors have a certain idea and they're actually buying you. They have to believe in you. They can make money anywhere. They're scouring for deals. There's no shortage of deals. What there's a shortage of are people who can execute on the deal. That's what they're looking for. So one of the ways I first started in terms of looking for money is there's a thing called hard money lending. So you could actually put in Google hard money lenders in Florida and they just pop up. These are people who basically will give you money for a deal if it makes sense to a certain point. They're not going to finance a deal 100%. You got to have equity. You have to have equity, and then they will give you the money if the deal makes sense. Where do you get that equity? I don't know. Mom, dad, uncle, neighbor, cousin, boss. Crowdfund it. But if you only have to make up this much and they're going to give you this much, now you know you don't need $500,000 to buy that house. Now you only need 30, 40, 50 grand to buy that house. And they're going to spell it out. They're going to tell you what they're looking for. And they tell you the percentage in terms of, okay, so I have a property under contract, and it'll let you know. You can go here and fill out all the different information. Here's another one, and they tell you straight up. They break it out. We'll go from 1 million to 100 million. Average loan size is 10 million. Rates as low as $7.99 plus lender's fees. Now, I hope you're seeing this. So they're telling me here in Miami that, and they're comparing themselves to the other guy who I just showed you, that we'll give you the money. Bring the deals. We'll tell you in an hour. Literally, in an hour, we'll tell you if we can give you the money. And then once you get the money, and they'll tell you, how far they'll go in the deal, what the repayment terms are, how much money they might be able to roll into the loan for a fix-up, and then you've just got to raise the balance. So that impediment of, hey man, I'm looking at doing this $1 million deal, where am I going to come up with the money? Well, it's right there. It's out there. You just have to put the deal together and figure out the equity. And when you figure out that equity, this debt service that you're going to be putting on, and you can always just do what Chris did, raise it, put up a page. Hey, listen, here's what I want to do. I want to invest in 10 single-family homes. I need $873,000. Here's what I'm going to give you. Here's all my information. Here's my company. Here's my people who I'm working with. No excuses. You just get out there and get it done. I'm just sick to my stomach with young black people specifically who give me a hard time on Twitter and call me coon and all the different things because they don't want to take the initiative to build equity. It's so easy on a keyboard to type out some words and say, we're being held down when it's a bunch of crock. I can bring anybody from any background and sit them next to me at my desk and within 60 to 90 days teach them how to put the deal together and then show them how to go get the money. They've already been protesting for 60 to 90 days. They could have had their first deal. Imagine that. Imagine in February, you decided that you wanted to sit with somebody like me, and there's lots of me's around, and say, can you show me how this is done? By now, 3 or 4 months later, you would be in a position, you would probably already own your first deal. You'd already be on that first road to building equity. It's true. Investing is better than protesting. Protesting wastes your time. It never builds equity. If you don't invest, you're just going to lose. You're just going to keep doing it. You're going to keep complaining. You're going to put graffiti on a wall. So I'm going to let Mr. Buffett take us out. I want you guys to have a good evening, and if you have any questions about investing, please feel free to get a hold of me. I'd love to speak with you. I'd love to show you how you can take your life to a better place. And if you're an investor who's looking to park some money and make a 9 to 10% return, I'd love to speak to you about that. Talk to you guys tomorrow.
If I was an investor that was a handy type, which I'm not, and I could buy a couple of them at distressed prices and find renters, I think that's, and again, take a 30-year mortgage. It's a leveraged way of owning a very cheap asset now.